Voidship, The Long Journeys, and strategy action adventure with some light simulation mechanics that fails to live up to the ambition of its concept. Voidship, The Long Journey is set in the far future, where spacefaring mankind has just created the first true AI. Shortly afterwards, a mysterious foe attacks the Terran Empire, and all is lost except for your ship. So now you're left to wander the stars, struggling to survive and find sanctuary. Surprisingly, the mysterious aliens that killed everyone aren't your primary opponents. The main antagonists are human scavengers and the Cult of Adam, which is a zealous cult that worships the AI that brought the alien invasion. Because, of course, the AI is named Adam. They're the Cult of Adam. It's not the most original setting because it's like Battlestar Galactica with a little bit of Mass Effect thrown in there. But I do think this is a great setting for video games and not one that we've seen a ton. It's been underutilized a little bit. So I'm happy to see it used here because I think there's a lot of potential for a setting like this. Gameplay alternates between combat and travel within systems. You click between squares on a grid to progress towards a Stargate so you can leave, and along the way you collect resources, you'll trade, and fight battles. Occasionally you'll be faced with choices regarding life at space, such as what to do with the bodies of the dead. These choices not only reasonably reflect the challenges of being like the last civilized vessel in space and you're wandering around, but also impacts gameplay because it alters the social culture of your ship, which then leads to bonuses and penalties, such as if you authorize cybernetic implants for people, you'll have longer crew lifespans, but the maintenance and the operations reduce resource gain. This is also where you manage your spaceship. Your ship begins small, but you can spend resources to add a variety of components and grow the vessel, both in size and power. Unfortunately, your vessels are restricted to a one 5x5 block, so you can't recruit or build any additional vehicles, and you're only in your restricted 5x5 space of construction. So you inevitably just end up with like a Borg cube of cannons or whatever, and just the strongest weapons that you found, and that's your ship. That's how your ship ends up, and it doesn't take like super long to get pretty much there. So I would have liked a little more flexibility or a little more variation in the ships because I'm just going to end up with a big square. You do slow down as add more components, you need more engines to maintain speed, but still, I didn't feel like there's any reason for me not to just throw in a bunch of guns and a few engines enough to move and just blast everything out of the sky. Speaking of technology, you can't actually research or pursue tech that you want. Tech is doled out randomly via events or as combat loot, so it kind of hinders the strategy a little bit because you're at mercy of RNG for impressive technology. So if you're going for cannons, for example, and you build your ship around that, and you really want stronger cannons, you just kind of hope that you end up with that technology sooner rather than later. You're also responsible for some very very light crew management. Your ship requires 3 officers in order to operate and fly around: the captain, engineering, and a weapons officer. You just select some eligible crew members to fill those slots, hoping you just hope they have good stats and bonuses. You rarely have extra crew unless you choose. Some events give you option to get extra crew members, but they're rarely that big of a deal as opposed to just getting more money for more components or new technology. So the crew members just kind of fill them in and forget about them is mostly how I found the crew management to be. It's just kind of a set it and forget it. When you find enemies, the game switches perspective to a top-down real-time combat view. The player has the option of either directly controlling the vessel or using the RTS-style control scheme to move and select targets. I pretty much exclusively used direct control in order to dodge attacks and focus targets. RTS mode is a little slow. It's awkward to target accurately and switch targets quickly, and your ship takes a lot of damage if you're not telling it to move. It's just going to stand still and get shot up, and it's really hard to tell it to dodge competently. So then components get destroyed, which can be very expensive because these aren't repaired automatically. You just have to buy a new one at the end of the combat. And the combat has almost enough depth to be interesting. More often than not, the battles look way more impressive than they feel. You're just blasting away with whatever weapons you have equipped. Some weapons and crew members have special abilities, cooldown based abilities, and these can be kind of interesting to use. Launching bombs, nukes, hacking, stuff like that. That can be. You can also pause it and do it during a pause, and that adds a little bit of a little fun, a little depth. There are also fighters, mines, and defensive flak type components that they're all there, but they don't feel particularly impactful, and they're not very interactive. They're just they're just there doing whatever. The final mode of gameplay is the interstellar travel. At the end of a system, you're free to choose another system to travel to. There's not much choice to actually be made, though. Voidship Long Journey provides no incentives to travel anywhere other than the systems that advance the quest. I am impressed, though, that it is presented as taking many, many years to complete. It takes like 20 years to fly between stars, which is a nice little attention to detail. And also, your crew will age and die, but if it takes too long between stars, so that's I like that. I like that idea. That really gives you like an idea of this ship has a legacy spanning multiple lifetimes. So Voidship: The Long Journey suffers a great crime of just being kind of mediocre. First couple hours exploring and upgrading your ship is fine, but that flavor wears out really fast, and then you're just like, all right, I go here, blast these little boats with my big block, and move on to the next grid space. It does do just enough for me to see the potential of a sequel. I'd love to see a sequel with a larger potential ship, more customization options, fleet management. If you could have multiple ships you're managing and building, and then I think they could have a lot of interesting stuff there. You can build support ships, carriers, cruisers, just battleships, whatever. I would love to see a bit more fleet, and that would make these battles even more impressive. And would make the RTS mode feel a little more, make a little more sense. Give commands and orders to your fleet, and then command your flagship directly, control your flagship, something like that. I think that would be really cool. And I think the developer may be up to the task, but Voyage Long Journey is not a title that currently lives up to its own potential. Available on PC February 8th, 2019. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe for more, follow my Twitch, you guys know the deal, and I'll see you next time.